Welcome into the afternoon Saturday college football betting update with Big Man on campus and myself. We'll be hitting the late night Saturday slate, the 10 o'clock Eastern kicks and after, and then really just going over the college football board in general. But Big Man on campus, find him on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau. How's it going today?
Doing great, Drew. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to kind of finish off this Saturday, and also college basketball. We got to hit some of that. I'm sure you'll throw out some opinions, but let's get through these three night slate games right now. We got Utah and Washington, kind of the headliner of the night slate. Utes traveling up to Washington. Looks like Washington laying 17.5, 46.5 the total. Do you have a feel with this one?
Yeah, I actually think to me, I think it's a lot of points to give to a Utah team that's pretty good. I mean, we've talked about this team before, Drew and I, with the Tyler Huntley, the Darren Carrington, who has really given this team offensively a lot more of a lifeline. I mean, they haven't always been the best offensive team. And look, I mean, Asim Victor suspended for Washington. That's huge for that defense. He's one of their better players. The fact that he got suspended is a definite hurt. I think this is a lot of points, but here's the problem with Washington. If you want to bet Utah, Washington has that blowoutable. They always can blow you out. 41-7. But I think Utah's a pretty decent team. Defensively, they're pretty good. I'm one to think they can hang within this number. But they do turn the ball over way too much, Utah, which if they do that in this game, they'll lose pretty quick.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the number's a little too high to be betting Washington. I just think with each passing game with Huntley back, I think that the timing will help with Utah offensively. It's just going against this defense at this time. It's not enough for me to get involved, big man. But gun to head, I'd be on the Utes.
Yeah, and I mean they've turned the ball over 23 times. I mean that's too many. They need to stop giving extra possessions. And if you give extra possessions to Washington, they're a pretty efficient team. They're going to score. Plus, their defense is so good. You just can't give possessions away. And they do that a little too much. But like I've said to you before, I like this offense with Huntley a lot better, and I like it with Troy Williams. And, they do have some playmakers. So I would lean with the Utes.
Okay. And what about 421, 422 Nevada, San Diego State, 55, 55.5 the total. Looks like 16.5 across the board. No books taking any opinion. You interested in this one?
You cut out. What was the game one more time?
421, 422 Nevada, San Diego
Yeah.
State.
Yeah, you and I mentioned we talked about this one. Nevada is playing better offensively. I mean, they turned it up a little bit, I guess you could say. You look at the last three games; I mean, they're pushing 40 points a game, but that was against San Jose State's mixed in there, Air Force is mixed in there. You look at the one time they did play a really good team. I mean, they only put 14 points on the board. I think San Diego State's kind of on a mission, and I got to tell you, Drew, this is an interesting game because San Diego State's one game behind the Fresno State Bulldogs in the Mountain West Division there. And Fresno State currently leads. That game might be over, actually. I'm seeing it's late in the fourth quarter in that game. Do you have a final in that game, or is that over yet?
It was 13-0 right before we got on.
It's 13-7 now with like a minute to go. So I don't know what the scenario there is. But at any rate, I think Wyoming does have the ball, if I'm correct, but we'll see what happens. But this is a big game. I mean, they need to kind of keep pace. I know Fresno may win this side of the division, but this is a huge game. I think San Diego State will come out and really take it to Nevada. Nevada's a bad team. SDSU is, I mean, you look at what they're doing over the last couple games. They're pounding teams. I don't know that I see any difference here. You look at their, defensively, they've been a lot better stopping the run. I think they win fairly easily here.
Yeah, we talked about this on the Bet Buffet. I mean, San Diego State had that tough run against Boise and Fresno. And then since they got out of town, they went to Hawaii, pounded the Rainbows, and then beat San Jose State pretty handily, like you talked about, and then a bye week. So Rocky Long with the bye week going against Nevada at home. Nevada's profile against, team, like run it down your throat teams and just kind of the higher echelon of the Mountain West, like Boise took it to him 41-14. I could see that happening again. I could just see the SX.
They've also been regularly gashed on the ground. I mean, they give it 550 yards on the ground to Air Force, 224 to Colorado State, 246 to Hawaii. The SDSU they should really just lean on their run game tonight, pound it down Nevada's throat. This could get ugly for Nevada.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on the
Plus,
Aztecs
they
personally.
have a look ahead game too, Drew, next week against the UNLV Running Rebels. So that's kind of an interesting game in Nevada. So I mean, they're going to come into this game with no reason to think they can win. So this one could get out of hand after a while.
Okay. It looks like Adam's saying Fresno State's up 13-7, 50 seconds left in the game. So watching that one there. But yeah, it sounds like we both agree San Diego State minus the points. One last one here on the night slate. Air Force Boise looks like 59.5 the total, minus 17.5 at 5 dimes. You can shop and find it as low as 17 at BetCris, which is bookmaker in America. Any opinion on this one, big man?
Yeah, I've been impressed with what I've seen out of Boise State a lot lately. I mean, this team is starting to look like Drew. I mean, I gave them a lot of flack just because they always seem to fail, in the Mountain West lately. But they've really played well. That was a huge win last week against Colorado State, coming back in that game. You're putting all those points on the board, crushed Nevada, crushed Utah State, crushed Wyoming. Ever since they beat San Diego State, Drew, and they lost to that game in Virginia, they've been on fire. I mean, they haven't lost. They're hosting Air Force here. Air Force can't stop anybody. It would be Boise or pass. I really like what I've seen from Boise. They're good against the run. This is a sleeper, really good game betting on wise late in the night here. This might be a game I'll get involved in. I think Boise really controls this one. You look at Boise, Drew. I mean, they're really good against the run. I mean, it might be tough here just because Air Force is a run first team, but Air Force has covered 5 in a row though against Boise, which is interesting. But I think this Boise team's kind of feeling themselves right now. The big injury news in this game, Drew, David Moa for Boise, nose tackle. He's probably their best run stopper. That's concerning if he doesn't play. But there's some Air Force injuries as well. I'd lean with the Broncos here.
So laying it with Boise. So you're liking both favorites in the Mountain West and the big underdog in the Pac-12 is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I would definitely look that way. Sure.
Yeah, I'm not looking to step in front of Boise. I mean, they're just kind of on a mission, like you touched on. I mean, it's a tough team to beat. Air Force, on the other hand, it's a team that I haven't had a good read on. I mean, I know I like their quarterback, but I'll be honest, I just haven't seen them play much for whatever reason. It just hasn't caught one of the monitors.
I mean, they are playing teams tough a lot of the time. You look at this number, it is kind of high. You look at in their last 5 games against the spread, they haven't covered in 4 or 5, but those were a lot closer games. They've stayed in games, but I don't know. It's an interesting one. All these games are kind of have some reason I might stay off them, just injuries or something like that. But I do like 3 of them. I have no problem giving an opinion on them.
All right, cool, man. Hey, let's just hit the board. I know I want to talk about FIU, FAU, but what games you want to hit, man?
We can hit whatever one you want. I don't care.
All right, let's do it. 407-408 FIU, FAU. This one will be in Boca. Short trip for FIU, 66 the total, 14.5 for FAU. Are you going to lay it with Lane Kiffin and company?
No, I'm not. I don't really think they're that good a team. They're a nice story. I mean, he's had a tough year. He's really showed me that I think he is a decent coach. He's kind of got these kids to play for the university, and Devin Singletary is really good. But this Florida International team's played real well. Also, they're well coached as well. They made I think they're bowl eligible at this point, and this is a huge rivalry game, Drew. I don't know what the interstate is so I guess it's 95 that separates these two teams, but it's an interesting game. I think it's a little too many points, though. I think it's like a 31-23 type of game. I think it kind of stays within 10 points. Fresno did win, by the way, in Wyoming. A nice win for the Bulldogs up in Laramie. But what are you leaning? You're a Florida guy. You can give an opinion on this one.
Yeah, it's about an hour drive on 95 in between the two. It depends on traffic. You go at 5:30 on a weekday, it would take you a lot longer. But yeah, I like a lot of the points you just said, man. I think FIU is a little underrated. FAU is the more like public. Everybody kind of knows they're doing well, whereas FIU has come on late. They're not pounding people, but they're winning games. Alex Magoo, he can throw the ball around a little bit. I like their passing game, and Butch Davis is kind of being like a quieter Lane Kiffin. He's getting the kids to play hard. They're going to be going bowling, both of these teams. So I could see FIU. It is a road game, but not a very long trip. So I could see him keeping it in between two
I'll be
touchdowns.
real. I think this total seems a little too high. I think Florida Atlantic is a little bit better on defense than people might think. And while FIU's been a nice story, I mean, they're not a great offensive team, really. They definitely ball control, that kind of thing. And the Owls, they don't throw the ball too much. I think this game could kind of, there might be some punts and things like that. I would lean under, actually. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on the total, but what other games you want to hit?
Go
right to basketball.
If you want, I don't mind. There's USC UCLA is pretty interesting. That's going to be a battle back and forth, I have a feeling. I'm actually, Drew, kind of interested in this Oregon Arizona game. If you were lucky to get it at a pick 'em, you lucked out. Justin Herbert's going to play for Oregon in this game, and I got to tell you, I think that's bad news for Arizona. Oregon is pretty impressive against the run, and while I don't think they'll shut Khalil Tate down completely, I still don't really think that Arizona is going to get any stops in this game. This should be a high-scoring affair. I haven't looked at the weather, but other than that, we should see plenty points here. But I actually like Oregon. I think Herbert being back, big for their offense. Royce Freeman kind of is his safety blanket. Herbert's a good quarterback. I mean, him coming back, he should be able to pick apart Arizona. And if you can neutralize the run against Arizona, you're gonna probably do pretty well. I get a feeling Oregon kind of not pulls away, but I think they win this one comfortably, like 48-38 or something. I'm kind of liking Oregon at home here.
Yeah, big man. I'm looking at how they've played against teams with a similar profile as far as what Arizona's going to throw at them. The only one I see is really Utah, and I don't believe that Huntley was in on that game. I'm not sure, but they held him to under 3 touchdowns, so they didn't play terrible against them.
Yeah, and you have to really throw a lot of the numbers out that Oregon we've seen from them just because Burmeister was terrible as a quarterback. So, the fact that they lost to Wazoo by 23 is not, Bryce Love ran all over them. They didn't have a quarterback there. They haven't had a quarterback in a lot of these games. So I think their numbers are a little skewed. You look at since Huntley's come back, he shit on Utah. They didn't play well against Oregon, or Washington, but I think they played pretty well here. And I kind of lean with the Ducks.
Okay. Anything else you want to throw out college football wise, man?
Yeah, not really. I know Marshall's playing against UTSA. I've not been too impressed with this Roadrunner crew lately. Marshall's a team that has been irritating as well. They had a great season for most of it, and then they lost, I think, FIU, and it was kind of done from there. Wake Forest, NC State's an interesting game as well. This is kind of the battle for North Carolina. NC State is a good football team, great defensive line, good offense, but Wake has been torching teams lately with their offense. 10-win seasons in sight for NC State. As a dog, I kind of like them here against the Demon Deacons, but the Demon Deacons are playing real well right now, so it might be tough to step in front of them. But that's really it for me, Drew, on the football card.
Okay, we got a nil asking Boise State or the over. I think we like Boise State in that one. What about UAB down 16-0? Florida already covering that 10.5 point line.
Yeah, no surprise. I'm on UAB, which is no surprise. UAB can't do anything, can't move the ball, not playing well at all. It's really been a tough, last 3 weeks for me, Drew, have been brutal. I mean, everything I have touched in college football is blown up, it seems like. UAB plays great all year. They can't score against Florida. It's pretty irritating. And then I'm doing real well in college basketball, so it's like, why am I even betting football? It's like pretty.
Yeah, it's a double-digit week, and it's a great segue into college basketball. We could just leave with Lou saying, "What do I like tonight?" Lou, I'm on San Diego State in the nightcaps, but yeah, dude, let's talk a little college basketball, man. That's where the money can be made from the big man on campus.
Yeah, I'd say right now it is. Maybe we'll get UAB to realize that there's a game today, and they'll, what a piss poor effort. I mean, you got a big game here against an SEC opponent. I mean, I think they have 30 yards. I mean, it's pretty pathetic. College basketball, pretty big card. I mean, a lot going on. I mean, a lot of tournaments, and you're kind of in the middle of some of these tournaments, and some of them are kind of ending tomorrow. So you'll have Temple. They play Auburn in the in one of the tournaments. And I actually had a winner earlier today. I took Weber State, which got it done, so that was
Nice
nice.
call, man.
I do have a small little play right now on the New Jersey Institute of Technology plus 30.5 against Seton Hall, and they're battling, Drew. They're down fucking 8 with 5 minutes into the second half, so hopefully that can keep it up here. But there's a huge card. I'm on one game I really like tonight's Long Beach State against the Oregon State Beavers. This total or this number is a little too high. I don't know that I get this one. I feel like it should be a 5 or 6 point number. Long Beach State is really a good basketball team. I think they're the best team in the Big West. They're well coached, and they've had a nice start to the year. They have a good guard play, a couple good bigs, Gabe Levine and Barry Olajale. And Oregon State, if you've read into the program at all, they're kind of in. They're going to be decent. They're not like they were last year, but they're young. They're not a mature basketball team, and their coach, he's been pretty irritated with this group. They haven't, they lost against Wyoming in their last game, not really played well. I like Long Beach. I think this is a lot of points. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go and win this game, but I'll take the massive points here in this game.
Big man, are they your favorite home court? I've noticed streaming games, ESPN3 last year, that court that they have at Long Beach State is real cool.
It's cool. It's like a, kind of a beachy theme. No, my favorite court's actually Oakland. I don't know if you've ever seen their court. It's got like the black floor. I think that's so sweet.
It's all black.
Yeah, totally
No,
black.
I haven't seen it. I'll have to look
really
up.
Cool. It's black with like this like brownish like color. It's pretty sweet actually. I'm on there's a couple other good ones too, like
UTA. I heard you talking about Arlington.
Yeah, Texas Arlington. Yep, I'm on them tonight. I got plus 8.5 out of BYU. This isn't BYU of old. I mean, they had some graduations. Eric Mika graduated. They also have Nick Emery, who is one of their better players. He's actually suspended and left the team due to some booster concerns there, possibly receiving gifts and things like that. So he's out. And this Arlington team, I think they're a team that is a real sleeper in the mid-majors this year. They're, to me, going to get to the tournament. I think it's now or never for this team. I think going into BYU, this is probably a little bit too many points. I think this is one of those games where UTA will challenge to win the game. I'll take the nice little amount of points here.
They're still running a lot of tempo, right? Last year they were really fast.
Yeah, they still run pretty fast, and they have Kevin Hervey, who is a real good player. The question is for both these teams is depth. They don't have a ton of depth, either of these teams, which I think for UTA kind of helps them here, because if they're going in and facing a team that can run 9 or 10 guys, that would be concerning. But I think BYU has the same, not only depth questions, but overall, talent perspectives as well.
Does UTA return a lot? Is it the same team from last year?
Yeah, pretty much. They have Hervey back, Neal's back. They did lose Bill Bow, who was kind of a forward, kind of rebounder, that kind of player. But yeah, they're most of the teams back for Scott Cross. So that's kind of why I'm so high on them. I think they're going to win the Sun Belt. I'm really high overall just because they do return so many players, and that's I'm kind of high on that. But one other one that starts actually pretty soon at 6 o'clock. I want to kind of take Mercer. I'm kind of liking that one more and more. Drexel had a huge win yesterday against Houston. They were 14-point underdogs, and they went in and won the game. And it's a tournament down in the Bahamas, and they really don't really belong in this game. I think they really just caught Houston, who has had a tough season to start. They face Mercer today, who Mercer's really talented. They have 5 seniors. They're a team that's played together for a long time. Bob Hoffman does a great job there. I think Mercer rolls by double digits in this game. I think this number's a little too low. I've had decent success, Drew, so far with picking apart teams that won the night before that are getting a little too much respect the next day. So you look at that Madison Square Garden tournament. I took Washington Thursday night, I think it was, or whenever it was. Last night, I thought they were in a spot to get punted, and they did. They got crushed. Same with St. Louis. They were in a similar situation. So you're backing a team off of a win that maybe doesn't belong in the next round, or covered a game or something. You're basically backing them 2 nights in a row. And Drexel's not a team that's in the predicament to play 2 nights in a row. So I'm actually, you know what? I'll throw it out to the listeners just because you're listening. I'm going Mercer in this game, minus 8.5. I'll be playing that one.
Mercer minus 8.5. All right. So it's almost like the NBA as far as, fading the team off of a back-to-back. You think it matters as much in college basketball?
I don't know that I don't think it matters a lot to like the good teams personally, but I think with teams like Drexel, I think it does matter. I've made a comment about some of the really low-level teams in college basketball, the SWAC type of teams. I mean, they're playing 4 games in 6, 7 nights. I mean, that's plus travel. I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, they're terrible spots. But in tournaments like this, I do think that a team like and also, Drew, here's why I also like Mercer. You look in the first couple games of the season, take a guess at who they played. They played Drexel tonight. They played Liberty, Jackson State, Toccoa Falls, and then they played UCF in the first game of the season. So 3 out of the 4 games were just shit opponents. And their next matchup is against Hiwassee College. So, I mean, they haven't exactly played a grueling schedule. So I think they're in a good spot here. I think they're going to go and probably win this tournament. I would take Long Beach over Mercer. I don't even know that I'm going to officially bet Mercer for a unit. I'll probably have a little something on them, though.
What about that Wacoa Falls team you talked about? Didn't they lose by like 100 points or something?
Yeah, they lost by 101. And then the next day, I bet against them. Mercer, I bet on Mercer. I laid 50.5, and they won by and they won by 70 or so. So yeah,
is that the most you've ever laid in any type of bet?
Yeah, that was the highest I've ever laid. The highest I'd ever laid to that point was a couple years ago. I laid 51.5 with Colorado State football. They were playing, I think Savannah State or someone, and 50.5 in a basketball game is really hard, really, really high. I mean, you really have to have everything go right, but it's just all about knowing like who they're playing. That team they lost by 101, Drew, to Appalachian State, and I actually picked Appalachian State to be dead last in the Sun Belt this year. And you're telling me they're going to go to Mercer, and I mean, I would have laid 60 in that game if I had to. I mean, it just wasn't enough.
Who are the good teams in the Sun Belt? UTA, anybody else you like?
UT Arlington, Troy's pretty good.
Okay.
Who else? Well, don't worry about Little Rock. They're kind of the
defense.
Not much anymore. They lost their coach, Chris Beard. Once he left and went to Texas Tech, it was kind of all downhill for them. They had that run in the tournament. Coastal Carolina's not bad. They play a pretty good brand of defense. They're well coached under Cliff Ellis.
Is Georgia State any good?
They're okay. I mean, they're not the Ron Hunter, RJ Hunter team, but they're pretty good. Actually, a team I really like out of that is UL Lafayette. I'm pretty high on that team. They could be a team that could maybe get in the Mavericks way, but I really like them. Frank Bardley's a real good player for the Raging Cajuns. Bryce Washington, they're a good team. I like the Raging Cajuns.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that info, bro. Where are you gonna want to go from here?
Wow. What else do I have? I could talk about any game really. So
Gonzaga. We got guys asking about Gonzaga.
Yeah, Gonzaga. That actually gets going here actually not till 10. I thought it was at 7. My fault. Yeah, Gonzaga's kind of a work in progress for me. I mean, I really enjoy Gonzaga. Mark Few's my favorite coach in the country, but they definitely lost a lot, and it's to expected. I mean, they're not going to go back to the NCAA title game this year, but they lost, Nigel Williams-Goss. They lost Kornowski. They lost Zach Collins, who I said it before, Drew. It's a shame he went to the NBA because if they had Zach Collins, I think they could have been a team that might have went back to an Elite 8 or Sweet 16 this year. But they're just a young team. They're kind of green around the gills. But Utah State will give them a tough test. I believe it is in Aggieland as well, which if you know anything about this matchup, Utah State's a tough place to play. I mean, they're
Logan, Utah. It's a tough place to play in football too.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure this isn't actually in Gonzaga though, so I don't think we have to worry about that. And that's a tough place. The Kennel's a tough place to play too. So I mean, both these teams have great home atmospheres. I'm not one to bet against Gonzaga at home, though the number might be a little too high. Gonzaga's a young team. They have veteran players, but I'm actually pretty high on their young players, so I don't bet against Gonzaga. So if I don't like them to cover, I'll just pass.
Hey, I have a question for you. The games, the added games, I guess Bucknell versus Maryland for some reason is an added game. First of all, what makes it an added game?
Because an added game consists of a Power Five team generally. That it's usually a Power Five team against a. They don't regularly line Bucknell Patriot League games, just as like they don't regularly line. And they're usually on TV as well. They only line TV games generally. So like LIU, Brooklyn, Hartford, I would imagine that game's on probably CBS Sports Network or one of these, and they line it. If the game's on TV, they'll usually find a way to line it, or when a Power Five team takes on a non-Power Five team. So there's actually a third subset of added games where, and I'll list,
I've seen that.
which I've actually bet quite frequently, which I actually want to get in here on this show. It's only on 5 dimes though. They're the only book that offers them, which I think it's pretty cool that they add those games because they're really beatable. Like Drew had numbers in those added games where like I took Lipscomb last weekend against Morehead State. They opened Lipscomb 2-point favorites. By game time, it was up to like 7 or 8. So I mean, you can, if you're really good with like openings, you can get in there quick and you could punt off these numbers. But yeah, that's usually your Division I teams against, Division II teams or really, really low level SWAC, MEAC, Summit, that kind of stuff. But like Florida Gulf Coast tonight, I've really liked that team. Bowling Green's shit. They're not good. Army's probably a decent bet against Marist. Marist is awful. The one I really like, Drew, in this card is 648 Grand Canyon against Little Rock. We were just talking about Little Rock. Grand Canyon is a great basketball team, great place to play, great school in general. I mean, they're really looking up that group. I kind of like that one late, but yeah, there's several different subsets of line games.
Yeah, where are you seeing the 648 right now?
You mean where? What's the number, or where is it at?
Yeah, the game number, the Grand Canyon game.
You have to go into 5 dimes under College Extra under basketball, and it'll be in there. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not on the odds screen, so that's how you really know it's the real deal.
Yeah, it's not. They never listed on like SBR odds or any of those, just because not every book offers odds for it. Only 5 dimes offers the odds for it.
Interesting. All right. Thanks for breaking that down. And when will the totals be posted for these added games?
Usually get posted an hour before the game. So for like the Bucknell game, that'll be out. Like they usually hold it for as long as possible. So probably like 7:30, they'll put it out.
And when you say you're betting into these games on 5 dimes, are they charging the $1.20?
Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. They'll just charge, I think most of them they do though. I went out of the page, but if I can remember correctly, I think they do charge a little extra for them. And then look, I mean the lines move quick. I mean they don't sit there for a while. Like when they first put the games out, I mean within 10 or 15 minutes they've moved. Like Drew, last week I had Oakland. I bet them it was like -9. By game time it was like 16.5. Like they move fast. I mean, and you got to be quick to the draw with them.
Yeah, man. Well, anything else you want to hit on before we shut this down?
No, I think that's it. I hope everyone has a great night. I wish them all luck. And yeah, for me, I'm on my 3 college plays tonight. I'm on Long Beach State plus 12.5, Texas Arlington plus 8, and I am on Murray State as well plus 1. I didn't have a chance to properly talk about that one, but those 3 are the ones that I'm on. I'll probably make a small little play on Mercer as well.
Okay, cool. I'm on San Diego State tonight in the college football nightcap. And we got the new time slots for next week, right? You and Donnie are going in the morning?
Yep, we'll be on at 10 o'clock Eastern on Monday morning. So I urge all of you guys join us there. It'll be fun. New time slot should be fun.
You excited about the new time slot?
Yeah, it's going to be cool. We'll be the first people to get on the line and kind of relive. It's cool because Monday we'll have Eagles Cowboys recap. So we'll have a big game. We'll be on tomorrow night for the Betcast. I urge you, if you haven't watched the Betcast, tomorrow's the night to do it. I am a mad Ravage Eagle fan. If you've seen the game against Carolina, you know that I'm a big Eagle fan. So I get crazy. So it should be fun.
Nice, man. What are you doing next week for Thanksgiving? Anything?
Nah, I just go to my parents. They live about a half hour from me. So, yeah, I mean, look, nowadays with Thanksgiving, here's why Thanksgiving sucks as a holiday. I'm going to tell you why. Because for most people, not us, but for most people, they have to work the next day. So it's a shitty holiday. It really should be on a Friday. I don't know why it's on Thursday. But like most of regular America works the next day. So it's kind of a sucky holiday. But yeah, I mean, some of my friends and family, South Philly will be coming up to Lancaster, which is cool. You know, I like seeing them, and yeah, it'll be fun. You know, it's a good holiday. I'm kind of on a diet, but on that day I will eat some good stuff. So cheers to you. Happy holidays.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, and please give us a thumbs up, the like button if you like the content. It helps us out. For Big Man on Campus, I'm Drew Martin. Best of luck tonight.
Thank you.